This video is going to show you step by step the answers for quiz 1 in case you got tripped up on any answers as you were going through the quiz. So we'll start by going through question 1 and progressively go through each question until we get to 10. So the first question is, what does the variable SAT-MAR1 measure, and what are the value labels for each category of this variable, both the numeric value as well as the description? So in order to determine that, all you have to do is come to variable view, and you find SAT-MAR1, and you can click here on the label and expand it, and you can see what that is. And so what this is measuring is the participant's marital satisfaction. And the value labels for that measure is right here. And so you can see that there are 7 value labels for participants' marital satisfaction. 1 is extremely dissatisfied, 2 is dissatisfied, 3 is somewhat dissatisfied, 4 is neutral, 5 is somewhat satisfied, 6 is satisfied, and 7 is extremely satisfied. So that is all you had to do for question 1. You could have also gone up here to variable or utilities/variables, and then you could scroll down and find participants' marital satisfaction, which shows SAT-MAR here, shows you the label of what that variable is, and then the value labels for each of those categories within that variable. So that is how you find question 1. So for question 2, it asks you to run a frequency on the variable marital, and then tell me the frequency of divorced and the valid percent for divorced. So to do that, remember we go up to Analyze. We're going to go into Descriptive Statistics and do Frequencies. And then if you right-click on this box here, you can click it to say Display Variable Names. If you right-click again, you can also have it say alphabetically, so it makes it a little easier to find. But we want to do a frequency on marital, so all we do is put marital or highlight marital and stick that in the box. Click OK. And what you will see when you scroll down is the frequency table that gives the frequency, the percent, the valid percent, and the cumulative percent. And since we are looking at the frequency of divorce for number 2, it's 13, and the valid percent is 10.1. So that is all we would have to do for question number 2. For question 3, we're looking at the mean age, which is this variable right here, and the standard deviation. So in order to do that, you go to Descriptives, go down to Descriptives, again right click, and you can display these a little easier to find. Age is right here. If you go to Options, I'm asking for the mean and the standard deviation. So those 2 boxes are checked. Click Continue, click OK, and you will see in this box very easily that the participant's age, the mean age pops up, it's 41.81, and the standard deviation pops up, which is 10.458. So that is for question 3. Question 4 is asking for the mean, standard deviation, median, and mode for number of kids. So we're looking here. Since we're asking for more measures of central tendency, we are going to bounce back to the frequency table, get rid of marital, go to number of kids, click on statistics, and we want the mean, median, mode, and we want the standard deviation. Click here, click OK, and what you will see is in this box right here, along with the frequency table that it completed, but in this box right here gives you all the information you need. So the mean is 1.65, the median is 2, the mode is 2, and the standard deviation is 1.312. The next question is going to ask you to recode the variable EDUC, or education. So let's look at this really quick. We can see that education was originally coded with 1 GED, 2 high school diploma, 3 some college, 4 associate's degree, 5 bachelor's degree, and 6 graduate degree. And what I'm asking you to do in question 5 is to collapse this into high school and college, or some college. So to do that, all we're going to do is go to Transform. We're going to recode into a different variable. Remember, we never recode into the same variable. We can click this to make it easier to find education. Find education here. Again, I always recode by doing the REC education. You can recode it however you want. And we're going to come in here and do old and new values. All right, so remember 1 and 2 were GED or high school diploma. So that is going to be our high school measure, and I asked you to recode that into a value of 1. And then 3, 4, 5, and 6 are some college associates, bachelor's, and college degree, and we're going to collapse those categories into just any college. So we can go range 3 through 6 is now going to be 2. And again, I like to always do the missing just to make sure we're not missing any data. Click OK. We can get rid of this, but again, it's just showing us that we now have categories 1 and 2 is labeled as 1, and categories 3 through 6 is now labeled 2. If you come to your variable view, you will see that we now have recoded education. And I asked you to, once you recode the variable, to go in and provide a frequency for any college as well as the valid percent for the any college category. But real quick before we do that, what we want to do here, is come back to our value labels, and we want to put 1 is high school and 2 is any college. I forgot to add the value labels. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can go and do our frequency, move over number of kids, find REC education, click OK, and what you will see is the frequency for any college is 118 and the valid percent is 91.5. Question 6 asks you to what you should do after you recode a variable to make sure it's done correctly. And remember, one way to do that is just to run a frequency of both the original variable and the recoded variable and make sure that the numbers add up. So here we already have REC education, or the recoded education variable. Let's put the original variable in, and we can make sure these numbers add up. So let's scroll down. We know high school should be 11, right? So if we come down here, we can see that GED and high school diploma, 9 plus 2 equals 11, and that is correct. And then we should add up some college associates, bachelor's, and graduate, and you will see if you add up 61, 22, 33, and 2, that will equal 118. And so that is one way to make sure that you recoded the variable correctly. So number 7 is going to ask you to make a scale, all right? And in this data set, we have a bunch of work-family conflict measures. And so before we create a scale, remember what we have to do first is make sure all the values are the same for each of our measures. So really quickly to do that, in your variable view, you go up here and look at values, click on this box, and make sure all the 7 variables that we're going to put in a scale look like this. So 1 strongly disagree, 2 disagree, 3 neutral, 4 agree, 5 strongly agree. So as we scroll down here, we can see each one of these follow that same pattern. And because of that, we are able to create a scale with this. So now we're going to create a scale with these 7 variables. So remember, to create a scale, we're going to go to transform. We're going to go to compute. I'm going to call this work fam scale. You can call it whatever you like. Remember, to do this, you're going to add them all up together, all the variables together that you want in the scale, and then divide by the total number of variables. So the first one I want is work family conflict 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I want to close that parentheses, so I'll have all those 7 variables added together. I'll divide by 7 because there's 7 variables here, and then I will scroll down and just hit enter. Let's see if it'll let me do this. oops, that's moving my screen a little bit. The screen that I'm recording on will not let me pull this down, but there is an OK button down here that you guys can see, and so you'll click OK. What you can see is it'll show you how you computed it. You don't have to save that output. Now if you scroll down in the variable view, you will now see that there, oops, I scrolled too far. You scroll down into the variable view, you will see there's now a work family scale. What I would do is put into your label that this is a work family conflict scale, just so we have it labeled. So that is what you do to make the scale. In question 8, I asked you to run a frequency on that new scale. So you can move over these two and then find your work family. Make sure you don't go workload, work family scale, or whatever you named it, and click OK. And I asked you to do, or to tell me the frequency and the percentage, the valid percent for each of these values. So 1, you would just come here, the frequency is 2, the valid percent is 1.6. Value 2, it's 6 is the frequency, 4.9 is the valid percent. For 3, it's 5 is the frequency, and the valid percent is 4.1. And 4, the frequency is 4, and the valid percent is 3.3. And then in number 9, I just asked you to describe how you made that scale in number 8. So just kind of tell me how you went through the steps, how you added the 7 variables together and divided by 7. And then finally, question 10 is just asking you for the 3 measures of central tendency, which are your mean, median, mode, and 3 measures of dispersion, which can be the range, standard deviation, and variance. And that was addressed in your PowerPoints. If you have any questions on the quiz, feel free to contact me, email me, call me, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.